Olá, bom dia e bem-vindo ao nosso canal Quinta, Fonte, Pipa. This lens is dusty as hell. Olá, bom dia e bem-vindo ao nosso canal Quinta, Fonte, Pipa. Hello and welcome back to our channel Quinta, Fonte, Pipa. Hoje da manhã eu estou aqui a ajudar o meu pai com uma bomba de água. O tanque lá em cima ainda tem lá água, mas não é assim tão suficiente para nós, porque já é a altura dos incêndios. This morning I'm helping my dad with the water pump, as the top tank still has some water, but it's not completely full and it is fire season.
Well, the fuel's just about gone up, hasn't it? So it's going to be costing us more and more, but just the same as everybody else in the world. So now I've filled it up with fuel. What I didn't quite do in the last video was, because we'd started the pump and it's incredibly noisy, is when we're not using the pump, this pickup pipe runs along here and it goes down into the bottom of a well about 8 metres down there. There's a rubber valve at the bottom, and if there's a little bit of stick or something and the valve's not completely sealed, the water drains out of this in the few weeks since we last used the pump. Now what we used to have to do was use this and take water out of this, which is the cooling radiator of the tank. So this has got 500 litres of water in it, but when we never used to use the pump a lot, that would all evaporate and you'd come in and there'd literally be half an inch of water in the bottom. So we'd have to walk all the way down to a tank over there to pick up water, and then this is for letting air out of the pump but also for filling it with water. So it would take ages to, literally it would take ages. I mean, that's about 10 mil across there, that hole, it's tiny, and you've got to fill this tube up for 11-12 metres. It used to take a long time. So when I reinstalled this motor here and put the new block, I made some adaptations to this tank. So what I did is I drilled a hole into the bottom of the tank here, came along here, and I put, we had a spare one of these which I had to drill a hole in the pipe, and that allows, what I can do now is I open that, the water's running out of that into this system and it's filling it for me. And you can hear the air. Well, look at that, it can't have leaked that badly, because it's already filling up in here. Right, I shall let that run, and when that stops making those noises I'll get Molly to shut the tap, but that's a big time saver. So whilst that's filling up I can get on and get the pump ready to start it.
So I just turned over to Dad and I'm extremely out of breath.
You need to move that one that way.
This one over
Yeah, when I shout. Oh. Okay.
In last week's video we got a few questions and comments, and especially one from Mark asking where the water from the lister pump comes from. So this tube here is fed underground and comes from the lister pump that is located down there. I'm going to remove this shade cloth. Okay, so this here undoes, and then we can fill this tank up with this water. So that is quite difficult to shut one-handed, so I'm now going to walk up the top towards the goat barn. Please excuse the fly catcher. We also had a couple of questions about these. These are old water bottles we've used. We've put a hole in the top and some fly powder to catch all of the flies. So, as I was saying, I'm going to go up here and show you the second water point. So I've walked from the back garden all the way up, and here we have another tap. This one I believe I can open. Okay, and then that's going to flood irrigate this field here, and there is the milking parlour. So Dad built the milking parlour there, so if we ever have a fire we have irrigation close by. And I hope you can see that there is the big tank. I hope you guys appreciate this, because I just realised I've worn my wellies with a big hole in the side and I don't have any socks on, so I have extremely wet feet. So we were just down there and now we are here, and here we have some channel gates, and if we move this rock and open this gate, this will then flood irrigate this field here. I put that in, I put that back in here. That will dry the water off to stop it going into the tank, and this will then all come out and flood this field. So I'm going to change the door back and then check how full the tank is. So as I said earlier, the tank wasn't completely empty, but as it's still fire season, we like to keep this top tank full in case the firefighters need to come in and take any water. And also because Dad is irrigating the watering fields for the boats. And I fancy some of Mum's lemonade, so I'm going to juice some of the lemons I've picked this morning, as the trees are laden with them. So I'm going to put this on soft, start adding my fruit. And it also separates the pulp, which I think is quite good, because I prefer my lemonade without any pulp. And the pulp's coming out really dry, so it's getting all of the juice. And it's not very loud, it's actually very quiet. I was expecting it to be a lot more noisy. And then we'll do rev, so then it backs and cleans out anything that's still left in the that's reverse, and then we're going to put it back to soft. You can also do hard fruit. Like I mentioned, I was going to do apple, but then I realised Mum's eaten the last apples, so there aren't any left. So I'd like to say another thank you to Hazel Quinn, because these appliances are beautiful.
From this tank, the water then goes to various irrigation pipes on the farm, so we can water each terrace individually. But unfortunately, when we had the fire 4 years ago, all of our irrigation pipes got melted in the fire, and we've not been able to afford to replace them. So at the moment, we've just replaced what surrounds our house and the areas that we're actually growing stuff in. So until we can raise the funds to irrigate the rest of the farm, we have to do it the way we're doing it. And if you haven't seen our video of the fire, it'll be up here. I really do think maybe some of you should watch it and understand why we're not super happy and bouncing and jumping up and down every day. Although yes, we've been here for 9 years, it's not been an easy 9 years, and I do believe a lot of you would have given up and gone home. We've had deaths, we've had dogs shot, we've been ripped off by a builder, we've lost all our money, we've had the fire. If it, you know, if it can go wrong, it will go wrong. I'd like to thank Mark, who reached out to Alex at Christmas time. He watched one of our videos and picked up that Alex was really quite depressed. Yes, Alex did have a really bad bout of depression around about Christmas time. He's just very overwhelmed with the amount of work we have to do and not having the finances to just go out and do it. It makes life a bit difficult. You know, a normal day for us is Alex says, right, I'm going to go and plant the seed in that field. Goes to the tractor. The tractor's got a flat tyre. He then has to fix the puncture on the tractor. He'll go to start the tractor, and as you've seen, the battery was flat a few weeks ago, so then we have to charge the battery. All of this has a knock-on effect to what we actually have to get on and do. So it's not that we're negative, it's not that we're depressed. Yeah, okay, we've all had bouts of depression since we've been here, but this is real life. We're not YouTubers, we are a family that do a YouTube channel. We try and show you that everything out here, it's not all rainbows and unicorns, because it really isn't. You know, I've seen channels, they've got no water on their farm at all. Their wells are dry, or they don't even have a well. You really can't live in a hot country like Portugal and not have water. Somebody asked us why we don't drink the water that we have on the farm. Yes, we have a font, but the font water, when we first came here, we had it tested and it was perfect for drinking. But since then, we have goats. Goats poop on the land, it soaks into the land, which is obviously good for our land, but it also gets into our water source. We had that water tested and it came back that it had E. coli in it. So I'm sure none of you would actually want to drink that water. The spring that we pump into the tank in the back garden, that runs through bedrock, and it leaves a slight orange tinge to the water, so we have to add bleach into our back tank. That water we use for washing up, the shower, the toilet, and our washing machine. Drinking water, yes, we do go to a font, but it is the cleanest source of water. It's the water that Fonte actually use in bottled water out here in Portugal. So we are going higher than Fonte, so it's the purest water out here possible. We only use that if it's boiled. So Alex's cups of tea, cooking the vegetables, that's what that water is used for. Molly unfortunately can't drink font water full stop. We have to get Molly bottled water because she gets a really bad stomach, and there's a lot of people in the village that also can't drink the font water. So now we're going to go back to the house and we're going to see how Alex is getting on, because he's been irrigating the field we planted for the goats, but as you'll see in a minute, we've had a huge problem with that field.
Anda cá, cabrão! Eddie! Go on, get him! Get him! Come on, Piggy! Piggy!
As you will have just seen in that security footage, this here is the field Dad has sown.
Where the pigs were in it, and he got out of the field and I heard the gates being smashed. I thought he'd got out, and then when I went back in the house I watched the footage with Sandra. He didn't. You see him in this very corner and he runs up that way, and then we've caught him on the front driveway cameras. He actually ran in the driveway, being chasing the dogs out of the way, so the dogs are not look good. He has locked them together. I think I would probably struggle to do that if I kicked it. And in fact, you can see where he's rubbed the dust off of it there with his head. It's just a slightly cleaner patch. I'd say that's where he hit it. I did come down and look for some, but I came here this morning before the dogs came out, and you could see all these hoof prints like that down here, because that's what a boar print looks like that.
Another job for Dad to have to do.
Well. And we've got something coming soon which is to do with these gates. And I think he bugger might have just, I don't think he's twisted them, but I don't want to damage them anymore. He's really jammed this up. This pin normally sits there. I could be really rough with them, but I don't want to damage them anymore.
Because these are the original gates that came with the house.
Here we go. Just try and make sure my fingers aren't going to get trapped in anything. Oh, just had that moving then. Ah, there we go. Right. There we go. That's where that pin should be. So he really, look at that. I'm pushing, look how hard he hit that.
Wow.
If I'd known he was still in here, because I had my hands on him, we were going to have him for tea. Right, well there you go.
Thank you.
Bloody pigs. Sorry about the noise in the background of the guys strimming. Like I've already said, some of this field wasn't very well sown by me. It's a bit thin over there and it's thin here. It's because I ran out of seed when I was seeding it. This is where I saw some of the pigs last night. What you didn't see on the camera is when I reached past this distance, all the pigs, except for one of the big, there were two big ones and numerous babies. I think there was about 11 pigs in here last night. It's not a lot, but there's a bit of troughing there with their nose. But one had already run off through there, one of the big pigs, and I'm assuming a couple of little ones. There was a big pig still in here, which was actually more interested in escaping than me, because I was only about there, so I wasn't very far away from it. but I've got a very strong torch which blinds them, and it makes like a rabbit, you know, it makes them stop in their headlights. There was about 4 or 5 of them here. They managed to get out under the fence, and in fact, look, you can see where they've pushed under it. You can see their track, and look, the fence is bent up. They've really destroyed this. They've smashed all the sticks on the top, so now the goats are going to see that as a weakness, and then they will start to jump in here. This hasn't got much more before I let the goats in to grow. I'm a bit annoyed because I'd already done a bad enough job of this, the sowing, where it's thin. We have been watering it, but it's been so extremely hot. Even though I watered this about 3 days ago, the tips are starting to brown off on it. But this is what the pigs will do. They won't even eat it all, you know, and they're trashing through here. They haven't eaten it, they're just breaking it off. And there's more leaves on the ground, you know, more of it on the ground. In here, over there. Darn pigs, they get right on my nerves. It was almost midnight when I caught them. I was just on my way to bed. Oh well, at least I got them out, and they haven't eaten too much or damaged too much, so that's a kind of bonus, isn't it? I mean, even when I walk in here, I'm deliberately not walking on the grasses to keep as much of it growing as possible because of the lack of seeding. Anyway, it was a good bit of sport. Just shame I didn't catch one.
Hoje está muito calor e eu e a minha mãe vou ao Branco e por nós vou ter lá. Vou deixar uma encomenda na casa de dos nossos amigos. Pode ser você que conhece. Ele foi num dos nossos vídeos na semana passada. It is very hot here this week. Me and Mum are going to Castelo Branco, and whilst we are there, we are going to be dropping off a parcel to one of our friends. You might know him, he was in last week's video, and that is Jasper from the Portugal Project. So as you can see, we are in the ghost town, and I'm here to deliver this to Jasper. So we were sent a laser level, which we are going to be using to do the milking parlour construction, and Dad also thought Jasper would be a perfect person to give one of these to. Go deliver it. Hello.
Look who we have here. Ooh. Presents. I always like presents. Alex told me something was coming. Ooh, fancy box. Please hold that. Nice. Alex has one also, right?
Mm-hmm. We're going to be using ours in the milking parlour.
So this is 360. There's like 3 of these things.
Yeah. And it also has a gimbal.
Only Alex needs to explain how I need to use this.
He will do.
Nice, super cool. Yeah.
He'll come over one day and give you a hand.
Yes. He also told me that there was another trick, like you could use like a receiver thing and then like imitate like a very expensive like laser level.
Yeah.
Maybe we're going to try that also.
So.
Cool. Thank you very much, girls, for bringing this along. You girls want some coffee? Water?
Yeah.
Come on in.
So we've left Jasper's and we've just pulled over to put you guys on the We've just left Jasper's and we have put the GoPro on the side of the truck to give you guys a time lapse on the journey home, as it is going to be a beautiful sunset this evening. Home sweet home.